Portal is the greatest game ever made in the history of mankind.
You love me. You really love me.
That's a complete lie, but I've been told that you need to hook people in at the beginning of the video, so that's my way of doing it. Portal is in fact a great game. I think the term greatest of all time is a little bit of a stupid term, but there are great games that withstand the test of time, and I think that Portal is one of them. For the time that it came out in, it was generally pretty well received, but it's pretty interesting to me on the basis of the concept alone, because it's one of those things that you look at and you're like, why did I not think of that? You know, sliced bread, windshield wipers, 2-ply toilet paper, it just makes sense. A puzzle solving game based around portals. Pretty simple. And I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about it. This dark humor filled sci-fi mystery puzzle solving masterclass in narrative and storytelling game that we call Portal. I like it a lot, as you could probably tell. So let's talk about the premise and how that translates into some really cool shit. You start out as a test subject in this weird kind of science-y lab, you know, it's a puzzle solver, right? It starts with exactly the vibe that you would imagine a puzzle solver would have. Some science-y brain games, you know, test the old noggin, prove that you're the smartest kid in class. But right off the bat, the game lets you know that things are a little bit f***ed up.
For your own safety and the safety of others, please refrain from... Stand back. The portal will open in 3, 2, 1.
And this is the first thing that I love about the game, you know, this simple little setup that leaves this subtle initial tone, just a little taste on the tip of the tongue to let you know that this game is going to be something other than what you probably think it's going to be. This veneer of a patient in a scientific facility, this sterile location, punctuated every now and again by these odd little bits of dialogue. And on their face, they seem pretty normal, you know, a little bit humorous, a little bit odd, a little bit to the point where, you know, you listen to more and more of them and it's like, that's not normal at all. That's actually pretty weird. And it just builds and creates this sense of uncertainty, you know, and you start finding these little places and the level and things just kind of feel off and you start to be like, what the is going on here? And by the time you hit the halfway point of the game, you come out the other side realizing that it's all some kind of weird little sick joke. And then the game turns into this like tense survival avoidance of Big Brother type of thing, which is cool. But the first half of the game, you know, the way it builds this sense of suspicion and apprehension and ever watchfulness, it reminds me of this concept that I read about a long time ago called a panopticon. This was something that was thought up in the 1700s or something like that, and it's a prison designed specifically in a way to elicit the feeling in the prisoners that they are never not being watched at all hours, every moment of the day. And I think Portal and the designers of Portal drew a lot of inspiration from that, because you can really pick up on that vibe, and the atmosphere is just dripping with a sense of that, you know, it's really interesting. And the thing about all this as well is that it's done properly. You know, a lot of other games and movies and pieces of media or whatever, they try to instill some kind of atmosphere or vibe on you, and they just do it so ham-fistedly, you know, they just beat you over the head with it. It's like, this is the atmosphere. Feel something. Never works like that, you know, but Portal, they build it up so slowly and subtly and effectively by injecting these little odd pieces of dialogue that start to twist and form over the course of the game. It's like in my video about Half-Life and storytelling. The trick is that they leave little tidbits here and there, and they never tell you exactly what's up. They just plant the clues, and they let you form your own story. They let you build it yourself in your own head, and that is the most effective. And it's all done with some of the most well-written and dark humor-filled, sarcastic dialogue I've ever heard in my life. And that's only half of the cake. It's a puzzle game too, based around this Portal concept, you know, it's super interesting, super fun, super cool. Probably the only negative thing that I have to say about it a little bit is that I find the difficulty curve kind of odd. You know, the first half of the game has a really steady difficulty climb, you know, it just feels right, it feels natural, but then as soon as you break out from the testing facility and you kind of get behind everything on the other side and you're running around, dodging, ducking, evading Gladys, it's kind of easy mode. The difficulty kind of just becomes a joke at that point for some reason, but it doesn't detract from the experience in any way. It's still a brilliant game. And that's the thing that I kind of wanted to talk about anyways, the difficulty curve. You know, that's the thing that really intrigued me on this playthrough that I did of the game. You know, making these maps, these puzzles, these levels is a rather difficult thing. At least I think it is anyways. I know there's a lot of people out there who make these maps and puzzles and all that stuff, and it's easy for them, and that's good for you, man. You're cool, keep the shades on. But for me, it's difficult. I find it hard to create puzzles in that way. It's interesting, it's impressive. Not only the fact that they create these puzzles, but that they do so effectively on a difficulty curve. You know, never making it too frustrating for the player, never making obscenely difficult puzzles that are unsolvable, but stuff that is just the right amount of difficulty for you to try to work your way through at each step of the game, at each progression point where your skill tentatively probably lies. It's an incredibly impressive thing. The levels are simple but challenging, fascinating but subtle, entertaining for both plebs and non-plebs. Walking that tightrope in that particular way, it's just amazing to me. And I think that skill at composing, that overarching design of the entire game is one of the reasons why I have such a large amount of respect for Valve. I think they're pretty cool. And it's also why I wanted to make this video. The dark beauty of Portal. Because it is dark, not literally, and because it is beautiful. That's the vibe that I got off of it. And there's also some cool Easter eggs in there as well, you know? You get some slides in another room of Black Mesa versus Aperture. I think Gladys says some stuff about Black Mesa, which is all really cool. It leads you to maybe believe that you'll have a portal gun in Half-Life 3. If we ever have a Half-Life 3, who knows? But that's all I wanted to say on it. You know, this fantastic puzzle-solving game with an intriguing and enigmatic narrative and some, like, hilariously oppressive and odd dystopian dialogue in this fantastical, weird little microcosm of a world. Portal, a game that I love and a game that you should love too. Or not. It's your life. Doesn't matter to me either way. And that about does it for me. Thanks for sticking around this long. If you did, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Comment down below what you would do if you actually were able to get your hands on a portal gun, because I think that would be an interesting comment section to read. And other than that, thank you so much for watching. Love ya. Bye-bye.